What's up, my pickles and picklets? Spontaneously Pickled here, and today we are going to be reviewing the September 11th, 2023 WWE Raw. Raw starts with Jay Uso coming out, who comes out to a very big ovation. By the way, I have to say, it's funny that I noticed that he was wearing blue, maybe to defy the bloodline, but it's kind of weird because a lot of times when people do the Raw and SmackDown switch, they do red for Raw and blue for SmackDown. But I did like it, and I also like the touch that he did the back of his hair blue, which was really cool. But nonetheless, it was really cool to see that. Also, is it me, or is he also starting to get louder pops as well? I noticed that, like, Jay Uso, his pop streaks has been really, really getting loud. It could just be the Virginia crowd as well, you know, because certain states are a lot more, how can I say, louder than other states I've noticed in WWE. But it is what it is. Anyway, Jay starts to talk, you know, about basking, about being on Raw. He's getting ready to start open with that. And then now Kevin Owens comes in and relates to Jay's past, specifically saying that he did the same things, kind of things that Jay did, stuff that I didn't see, unfortunately. And still has people who don't trust him, just like he doesn't trust Jay. And he also reminds him that he not just needs to gain respect from others, he needs to gain respect from him, as in Kevin Owens. The Judgment Day then comes out. Finn comes out and mentions how the Judgment Day respects Jay Uso and wants to recruit him, basically. They want to recruit him. And then Priest mentioned how it worked out for Dom, which whenever they mention Dom, I just can't help but laugh. Dom is just a funny character, but he's got a lot of heat on him, I gotta say. And then Dom speaks and says him and the Judgment Day has been there basically for him through his highest of highs and the lowest of lows. Priest then mentions what happened to the match that this was having today, basically, against KO and Sami Zayn. Unfortunately, Kevin Owens mentions that Sami Zayn wasn't there tonight, so Jay then asked to join Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens kind of reluctantly agrees, but agrees. And basically then Jay super kicks Dom, and then they beat the Judgment Day up, basically. So it was kind of like a good moment for those two. Next up, we had the Judgment Day versus Kevin Owens and Jay Uso. So the match started off right away. Basically, Jay and Priest start the match, and Priest eventually tries to confide in Jay Uso, but unfortunately that was to no avail. Finn then tags in and tries to take Jay's hand, but Jay slaps his hand, and they start locking up. Jay then tags Kevin Owens in, and Kevin Owens takes control until Finn does a chop block from behind, then tags Priest in. They have a short back and forth, and then Owens tags in Jay, who does a really, really beautiful, like, coming in, a beautiful high-flying crossbody on the standing Priest, which is really, really well executed. Jay then lands a Samoan drop on Priest and then tosses Balor outside. He then does a I don't know what the name of the move is. I sometimes forget the name of the move, so bear with me. He then does a flying jump to the outside. Jay also did his own variation of like the punches that The Rock used to do back in the day. He even did like kind of like a little bit of a dance, a little spit type of thing, and then punch for the last punches. So that was really cool to see. Jay also tried to go for a spot on the turnbuckle, but he misses it, and then Finn does a double leg takedown and then a stomp on Jay's chest. Jay then reverses Finn with another move with a neck breaker, but then Priest distracts him so Finn can roll him up, but Jay kicks out of a 2 count. Then he super kicks Balor and then tries to do the Jay splash, but then Finn put his knees up. Kevin Owens and Priest get tagged in, and then Kevin Owens stops Priest on the turnbuckle. He was actually gonna do a rolling stunton, like stunton, whatever he usually does from one side to the other, but unfortunately his knees gave out. Priest then tried to do the South of Heaven on Kevin Owens, but then Kevin Owens reverses it with a really, really nice nice tornado DDT of sorts. Finn then tags in and then gets hit with a brain buster from the top rope by Kevin Owens. Priest then pops in to help, but then Kevin Owens gets ready to do like the stunner to him, but then he basically pretty much gets reversed by Priest, and then all of a sudden Priest moves out the way while Jay was getting ready to super kick him, because like he did, like turned around and pushed him off, and then Jay went for a super kick, but unfortunately Priest moved out the way, and unfortunately the super kick landed on Kevin Owens, which pretty much incapacitated him, and then Jay Uso and Priest got into it, and they went over the top rope, giving Balor the chance to land the coup de grace for the victory. Then after that, they cut to a brief moment with Natalya talking to Raquel Rodriguez, preparing her, I guess, for the match, probably telling her everything not to do, because we already know she got squashed twice versus Rhea Ripley, and the third time she was more game, but she still did lose. So, you know, whatever Natalya tells you, do the opposite. Unless she's telling you not to do what she did, then that's a good way to go. Then they have a Kevin Owens and Jay Uso backstage session where Jay comes to hurt KO because KO was like limping in the back, and then noting that it was miscommunication and apologizing. Then KO tells him he doesn't forgive him and he knows everything that he needs to know. Then he pretty much like really tossed in a really mean thing, which is kind of funny because I noted it earlier too, that he should just join his new bloodline in the Judgment Day locker room and dye his hair purple as well. So I thought that was really, really funny because yeah, I picked up on it right away when he came out earlier. I was like, oh, he dyed the back of his hair blue to match his new gear. Then they had like a small Imperium arrival segment. Nothing really eventful there, so nothing to really talk about besides the fact that Gunther wasn't beating up his team members. So bravo, bravo. Then we have The Miz versus Akira Tozawa. Tozawa starts off with a fear of offense, but then The Miz regains control with a kick to Tozawa's gut off of a midair move. The Miz pretty much maintained control this entire match. Even did a bit of a tease of Tozawa's kicking spot. Tozawa does try to make a small comeback, but then the Miz catches him with the knees from the ropes, and then the Miz lands 3 skull crushing finales, with the last one being him teasing LA Knight. And of course, he gets the victory. That was pretty much an expected match. It always sucks to see Tozawa not really getting any offense in. But I mean, he is kind of a jobber for the WWE, I guess. So it's kind of to be expected, right? Then we go to a backstage segment where Brian Saxton is interviewing Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel, she cuts a fairly passionate promo. Not really the best promo, but I liked it enough. But she was saying that basically Rhea is strong, and most lose to fear before the bell even rings, like Natalia. But she's no ordinary girl, she being Raquel. And Raquel then mentions that Rhea's going to get a taste of her own medicine, which I do believe you're right on that, my friend. You are right on that. Then afterwards, we have a Shayna and Chelsea segment. Basically, Shayna goes, she's talking to, I always don't know all their names. I don't know Byron Saxton because everybody's always teasing him. But anyway, Shayna credits Zoe Stark for lasting so long. Then Chelsea interrupts her and asks her to join her as a tag team champion. Shayna then challenges Chelsea to a match instead. Piper Niven then comes back and mentions she's medically cleared. Now, as far as Piper Niven, I'm not sure if she was really injured or not. I really don't know if it was part of the story. If anybody knows, comment down below. But I will say that I do highly strongly believe that it is very possible that maybe Piper Niven was injured for a bit, because I mean, those women's titles, let's be honest, the women's tag team titles are cursed. Like, let's be real. And then we have the Gunther's Spirit. Introducing Gunther, the World IC Heavyweight Champion celebration. By the way, I really love how Ludwig Kaiser is like such a character, and he stays in it no matter what. Vinci needs to work on that, by the way. He needs to get on the ball, because I feel like Kaiser is just like a little like minion, like his like most loyal minion, but like very militant style. Like it's kind of funny, like a little militant minion for Gunther. But then Da Vinci's kind of like just like this, like the how can I say? There's a word I'm looking for. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but kind of like the guy who beats people up but doesn't really succeed. That kind of thing. There's a word. Is it the hand? Not right hand man, because that's definitely. I would say that Kaiser's more right hand man. Anyway, I digress. Anyway, Gunther speaks about how great he is, which is definitely well deserved. He is an amazing champion, very dominant. He then said that the legends who held the IC title before him contributed absolutely nothing, which was really funny. Good heel move. And he mentions that he's running out of competition. Then, the one, the only, Chad Gable comes out and interrupts him, opening his song, which by the way was perfect because it was like right in the middle of when Gunther was talking. It was like, shoes, please. Gable then compliments their match and then disappointedly congratulated Gunther. Gunther invites him into the ring and to say whatever he has to say into him in his face, which was kind of cool, but of course he had his 2 guys, so of course that makes sense, right? Gable then noted that how he saw that Gunther knows no one has pushed him to the limit, and he saw it in Gunther's eyes, and he realizes that he could have lost him. But then he also mentioned his family, and oh my god, I completely agree. I felt so bad for Gable's kids, because his daughter was crying so hard. I was like, oh man, these guys are mean for making him lose it from his family like that. But that's WWE method, they love to do that. Anytime a wrestler brings their family, or is in their hometown, or it's like their birthday, they lose. Like, remember Natalia, guys? Her birthday, I think it was on the pay-per-view, right? She got destroyed. I was like, goodness gracious, like, I would quit a company and maybe get beat down on my birthday. That's just me, though. And then also, Chad Gable then mentioned that he beat Gunther once, and he will do it again. Gunther confessed that he did push him to his limit, but also threw in that he's a terrible father, referencing probably Rey Mysterio. I forget, did he make a Rey Mysterio joke, or did Wade Barrett make a Rey Mysterio joke? But anyway, I really love it when they talk about terrible falls. All of a sudden, like everybody's kind of like all the heels are kind of in line that like Rey Mysterio is the ideal like mold for a bad father. Good job, Dom. Good job. And then like Gunther basically mentioned he's a horrible father basically for putting his children through that and potentially making it happen again with their rematch. They then break out to a fight and overcome Gable, and then Otis comes out for the save. Otis takes out both Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. Then Gunther takes out Otis. Then Gable comes in and contends a little bit, tries to fight back, but they all jump him again, unfortunately, because Otis is pretty well incapacitated. Then all of a sudden, like they pretty much beat both of them up, and then Ciampa randomly comes in for the save, which kind of came out of nowhere. But I'm not really mad at it. I do believe that maybe that's Ciampa trying to say, you know what, it's time to make that move that I want to make. So I'm definitely excited to see where that's gonna go. Then we cut into a backstage segment with Xavier Woods and Drew McIntyre. Woods confronts McIntyre about the things that he said about Kofi. McIntyre says that Kofi needs to grow a set and talk to himself. Woods then claims that McIntyre is just jealous because Kofi won his title with a live audience, but Drew didn't, unfortunately, because he won during the pandemic. That's what I've understood from watching WWE without actually watching at the time. Don't judge me, guys. Don't judge me, guys. I'm an innocent little pickle. It also pissed McIntyre off, obviously, and he said he tried to restrain his urge to fight Woods, but then Woods pushed him, so they said, we got a match. Then we had a backstage segment with the Alpha Academy and Ciampa. Basically, Ciampa mentioned that his talk with Adam Pearce was about him seizing opportunities, and then Chad agreed. Chad then mentions how much he despised Gunther, and then Otis then mentions that it's a 3-on-3 matches and for tonight, and Ciampa was like, oh, you agree? And then Ciampa just walks off. So it was an interesting dynamic build. Now I'm very curious what's going to happen with that. Then we cut to this amazing match between Xavier Woods and Drew McIntyre. Woods goes on the offense for a while, but barely phases Drew. Then Drew does like a Glasgow kiss to take control of the match again, and then tosses Wood around and continues on his offense. Woods tries to use his speed to gain control, only to get neutralized with a clothesline. But then Drew runs at him and he tosses him out with the and does like a drop kick, knocking Drew back and outside of the ring. Woods then tries to perform a high flying move, only to get caught by Drew and then tossed into the announce table. Woods then lands a powerbomb off the ropes later on in the ring, and it's actually he does an amazingly beautiful leg drop for a 2 count, unfortunately for him. Woods tried to do like the honor roll, only to get hit with a couple of more bellies to bellies, which looked absolutely beautiful. McIntyre then popped in a Claymore, tried to pop in a Claymore, but Woods got him with a super kick instead. That's probably because Drew was like, 1, 2, 3, appealing to the fans basically, even though we know he's turning heel, but I guess, he's still trying to act like a little bit of a face. Now, I would be surprised if he doesn't turn heel. At this point, even though I'm not like a big fan of everybody just turning heel, even though I've never said I'm not a fan of heel turns, but I just don't think they should do it too much. However, I will say I think that at this point it's inevitable for Drew to turn heel, and I'm not really totally against that, to be honest. They then had a small back and forth with Drew trying to land an Alabama slam to get rolled up for a 2 count. Woods then did a few fast-paced moves on McIntyre, ending with a super kick. They then tried to get into a punching spot, which the fans are really cheering for. This is awesome, and the fans really love that. Drew then lands a Claymore out of nowhere and got the 1-2-3 victory. And my goodness, that was a really good match. And honestly, I really think that Woods looked strong, because to be honest, I thought Woods was gonna get like destroyed in that match. I was gonna use that word that I mentioned in my Pokemon video, but I'm not gonna mention it because I always say it wrong, I think. Then we have a Cody Rhodes segment. Basically, Cody Rhodes starts with let's talk about main event Jay Uso, with his usual. So, Virginia, what do you want to talk about? But then Dominic comes out with his new boy toy, JD McChicken Fried Nuggets and Sauce. Dom then thanks Cody for inviting Jay to Raw, so that when he joins the Judgment Day eventually, Cody Rhodes will look like a fool. Eventually, while talking crap to Cody, he starts flicking his tie. Then Cody attacks him, but then JD comes to help out, and then Cody gains control of them both. And unfortunately, poor Dom, he is not having a good night tonight. He was not having a good night. We then cut to a Jay Uso and Drew McIntyre segment backstage. Drew mentions that he doesn't trust Jay. Then he mentions that Jay can't fight on his own, basically. Jay then challenges McIntyre to a match next week, which I'm very excited for to see how that goes. I wonder if that's going to play more into Drew's heel turn, so we'll have to see. Next up, we have a very short match between Chelsea and Shayna Baszler. To be honest, it might have been even shorter than the last segment that we just saw. Anyway, the match starts, and we have Piper standing on the apron. I think she forgot that this isn't a tag match. It's a one-on-one. But anyway, once she got off, Baszler starts an offense too, but focuses a bit much on Piper Niven because Piper's kind of there for the distraction purpose, I guess. But Baszler still somehow, despite being distracted, maintains control throughout the entire match. And even at one point, she even lands an armbar, which then Niven actually helps to pull Chelsea to the rope for the rope break. Niven and Baszler had an argument on the outside, perhaps a match to come. Baszler then goes on and does a Ronda's Piper's Pip move, which I think is called the Exterminus or whatever. I don't remember what Cold built it at. And then she gets the 3 count for the win. Niven and Baszler then fight each other. Niven gains a little bit of control because Chelsea kind of grabs Baszler's leg. So then Niven gets control over the match. Over the fight. Zoe then comes out to help out, landing a super kick out of nowhere on Piper Niven. She then kicks Chelsea. Piper Niven gets back up and they do like a little bit of a stare down. And I could have sworn I heard, maybe I'm going crazy, but they told her get out. And then she rolled out of the ring. Then we have a Shinsuke Nakamura promo. He cuts a pretty good promo talking about things that Self did back in the day and saying that he brings shame to his family and he will not only just beat him, but he's also going to expose him. And I gotta say, I really like these like anime style / like backstage promo, especially for the Japanese wrestlers who may not be as comfortable with English. I think that's a really good way for them to still, do things without isolating the crowd or not, being able to speak to the audience essentially, because obviously you want to engage the audience as well. Rollins just comes out and he says that everything that Shinsuke said is true, but he mentions that he's also a father, a fighter, and your world champion. He then mentioned that he tried everything, reflecting on his old character and called him of a facade, and mentions that the Rollins of now is a true him. He then thanks the fans for bringing him to him, basically, for helping him discover that. He then mentions that he is not here to talk, he is there to fight, despite what management and everybody else is telling him that he should slow down and everything like that. He goes about, like last week, while Shinsuke, why he rejected his challenge and like didn't understand why he would do that. He then asked Shinsuke to accept this challenge tonight. Shinsuke's song plays, but instead of Shinsuke coming out, the song just plays, and then all of a sudden they cut to him backstage talking, and then you see him beating up Ricochet. He mentioned that he wanted to fight him, but he thought that he wasn't medically clear. He thought Seth wasn't medically clear, pardon me. And he also fought already, so he can't fight tonight. Then we cut to Jay Uso and Finn Balor backstage, and then Finn comes up to Jay. It started him a little bit, which is kind of funny, but then mentions that the ring is different than the outside, and they can let bygones be bygones after that match, basically. He then tried to remind Jay that everybody outside of the Judgment Day is after him, but the Judgment Day respects him. And then he mentions the part about Rhea Ripley that for some reason Jay got really excited about. Like, really? She likes me too? Like, huh? So I wonder what kind of story they got playing there, if there's any story. The next match was Alpha Academy and Ciampa versus Imperium. Really, really good match, by the way. I really like this match. Ciampa and Vinci start the match off. They have a good back and forth with Ciampa taking control. Ciampa tags in Gable with what looked like the weird miscommunication they had. I don't know if they're planting roots or it was just like a natural miscommunication, because Chad had his hand down and then Ciampa had his hand up, and it was like a weird moment there. Anyway, Kaiser then tags in and they both have a few good technical exchanges with Gable gaining control with an armbar. Kaiser gets out of it and tags in Vinci, who started in control. They got Gable on the outside, and then Gunther came in and clotheslined him. Vinci then tags in Kaiser, and again, only for Otis to start coming in, so everybody started cheering Otis for Otis to come in. Kaiser and Gable again have a few good exchanges, with Kaiser landing a very nice clothesline and a toss into the turnbuckle. All of Imperium then do like this really cool thing where they all run around, they all just do a turnbuckle drop kick to Gable. Gunther then does his signature chop to Gable and then kicks Otis off the apron. Gunther then trash talks, then Gable grabs Gunther's arm for like a judo move and then tags in Ciampa. Then Gunther tags in Vinci, and then Ciampa goes on a fury on Vinci and even knocks Gunther off the apron. Kaiser interrupts and then Vinci clotheslines Ciampa. Then Vinci tags in Kaiser and then intercepts Ciampa, but then Ciampa lands a tossing move on Kaiser and then tags in Otis. Otis goes in a series of attacks, and then eventually he goes in for the caterpillar. Otis then runs and into a miss, and he gets hung up on a turnbuckle. Gable then Gunther then tagged in, and then Gable tagged in incapacitated Otis. He tagged himself in from him. Gunther does like a German suplex on Gable, then knocks Ciampa off the apron. Gunther tried the powerbomb, but Gable reversed for an ankle lock. Gunther then makes it to the ropes and tags in Vinci, who does a crossbody, only for Gable to roll through and perform his ankle lock on Vinci instead. But he reverses only to get caught with the Chaos Theory. Gunther then comes in for the save and attempts to deliver a powerbomb, but Ciampa saves him with the running knee. Then all hell breaks loose, basically. Vinci tries to take advantage of the distraction with the roll-up, but of course Gable kicks out and then lands an ankle lock on him. Gunther then tried to make the save, but then Ciampa came in and caught Gunther with a Sicilian lock in a position where he could see Gable holding in Vinci for the submission. Vinci tapped out with Gunther being forced to watch. It was like really, really cool and kind of like a really, really good match. And it was really good to see that Ciampa getting that spot, by the way. I felt like he doesn't really get enough spots recently, so it's really good to see him doing something. Hopefully that's going to be something significant for him, but I also hope that he doesn't cut Chad Gable off of his journey, so we're going to have to see what happens with that. And then we go to a segment with the Judgment Day backstage. They're basically strategizing about how to get Jay in, and Dom wishes that he could be out there with Rhea, but she mentions that, oh, it's okay, I got this, and she'll handle Rhea business, they handle Jay business, so I wonder what they got planned. I don't think Jay's going to join the Bloodline, pardon me. I don't think Jay's going to join the Judgment Day, but, you know, weird things have happened. Then we got a segment with Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch and Adam Pearce. Tiffany's complaining to Pearce. She then claims that she has been respectful towards Becky. Then she asks why Becky is after her now. Becky mentions that it's only natural because she came stepping into her business talking bad about her. Tiffany then mentions that she's got no problem to beat Becky after, and then she signs a contract and leaves. Last but not least, we have the main event here, which was, I always love seeing the woman get a main event, by the way. That's always one of the most amazing things. Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's World Championship. Now, Raquel goes on the offense, showing dominance with a few clotheslines at the beginning of the match. She comes out of the gate hot, basically. She isolates Rhea into the turnbuckle, then does a very cool power slam from the turnbuckle. Raquel then lands a bear hug on Rhea, with Rhea trying to break it up with a few hair pulls. Raquel then slams Rhea into the turnbuckle, but then Rhea wraps her legs around Raquel so she can't break the 5 count, and then she headbutts her at the count of like 4.5. Rhea then lands a beautiful top rope drop kick. Rhea Ripley then runs across the stairs and does a cannonball onto Raquel on the outside of the ring. She then yells at Raquel and tosses her into the ring, and then does a running knee and a lazy pin, unfortunately for her, for a 2 count. She beats Raquel down on the mat, trying to keep her, isolated and slowing down the pace. Rhea drop kicks Raquel into the turnbuckle, and then she runs after her, only for Raquel to toss her over the ropes to the outside of the ring. Raquel then measures up Rhea and then does a big boot into the barricade. The fight gets back in from the commercial break, and they're back into the ring with Rhea in control with the submission move onto Raquel. Raquel breaks the hold by slamming Rhea's head into the mat a few times. Raquel then goes for the big boot on a turnbuckle, but then misses, and then Rhea slams her head into the turnbuckle, and then lifts her and tosses Raquel into the top turnbuckle. Rhea then went behind Raquel and wrapped the legs around Raquel's neck a couple of times, with Raquel on a second go lifting Rhea up over her shoulders and then tossing her into the turnbuckle. Shortly after, they have a little bit of a forearm exchange, with it ending with both of them kicking each other for a double knockout for a bit. They both get up talking smack, but then Rhea gains control with a headbutt. After a couple more exchanges, Rhea lands a Northern Lights suplex for a 2 count. And then Rhea goes for the riptide, but then Raquel gets out of it by pulling her hair and then tosses Rhea into the turnbuckle for a snake eyes, and then doing a big boot for a 2 count as well. Raquel then tries to do her signature corkscrew elbow off the ropes, but then Rhea puts her legs up, stopping Raquel from doing so. Then Rhea goes onto the turnbuckle and does a little shake, a little Latino shake, as they call it, and then does a frog splash. She then runs and does a baseball slide to Raquel, knocking her to the outside. She tried to do a cannonball again from the apron, but Raquel actually catches her and then tosses Rhea to the table. She then does like an apron powerbomb onto Rhea. Raquel then rolls Rhea into the ring and gets ready to go inside, but then Nia Jax comes out of nowhere and then lands this powerful Samoan drop onto Raquel from the outside. Then she just stands there watching like, okay, let's see what's going to happen. Then Raquel slowly tried to get back into the ring, but as Raquel got to the ring, Rhea kicked her right into the face and then grabbed her and did the riptide for the win. Now, Nia Jax goes into the ring, and I'll be honest, for a minute I thought she was going to congratulate her or something like that. I didn't know. But then I understood that, okay, Nia Jax obviously wants a title shot, so she wants, Rhea, even though she could have also gotten it from helping Raquel. But the point is that I guess Rhea's her next target, because right after that, they stood there for a few minutes, and Rhea was talking something to her. I don't know what she was saying. And then, actually, Nia Jax actually headbutts Rhea. And then she starts to attack Rhea afterwards, and then she does like a leg drop from the bottom rope. And then afterwards, Rhea rolls back into the ring, and then she lands a sumo splash to Rhea. And when she's sitting on Rhea for a few minutes, she starts slapping her face and talking smack. And then that's pretty much the end of Raw. Now, I think overall, I like this match because I think this match really showed something that was missing in the last match. Because I wasn't the only one. I fought like with other people, and they said they didn't really enjoy the match at the payback with those two. I didn't hate the match, but I just felt like it was a powerhouse match, just like this one was, the hard hitting match. But it was a lot more slow paced than it should have been, I think, if that makes any sense. So this one, I think they paced a lot better, and I think that the crowd was starting to get into it really well as well. So I think that's a really good thing. As for this Raw itself, I really like this Raw a lot. There was a lot of story building. They're definitely building a lot of things and planting a lot of seeds. And I also understand this is the last Raw that Vince owns, so to speak, as opposed to it being part of like Endeavor, aka now they're gonna be like called, I think, TKO or something like that. So I am interested to see what the future holds. I do hope they still let Triple H take control of creative and still like kind of keep the same path that they were going on, because I stopped watching it because I started feeling like I wasn't really getting into anyone. I just was getting a little, not that I had anything against Vince or anything, but I wasn't really feeling his direction over the years because it was like the same old, same old. So I do hope that they stick to this more variant formula of Triple H's, but we'll see what happens. But that does conclude my review for Raw of September 11th, 2023. So I do hope that you all enjoyed the video, and I hope that you all don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and share the video if you guys want to as well. I mean, like I said, right now I do believe that I am in the shadow room on YouTube, so I'm really trying to figure that out, and I don't know what to do. So if you guys can definitely show some support if you made it this far, it's really appreciated. And for here, Spontaneously Pickled is out. Bye. See you guys soon. And on my next video, I'm gonna try a different camera software because this one, my hands are like a little bit weird. Anyway, see you guys.